Hello and welcome everyone to our very first lecture on Introduction to Web Programming. In this course, you will explore how websites and web applications are built, starting from the basics and gradually moving towards dynamic interactive features. Today, we will set the foundation, understanding what web programming is, why it matters, and how it has evolved over time to shape the modern web experience. We will begin with web history, looking at how the web started. Its key milestones and how it evolved from simple text based pages to the highly interactive web we use today. Understanding this history will help us appreciate the technologies and standards that power modern web programming. So let's begin by exploring the early history and evolution of computer networks leading up to the development of the internet as we know it today. In the 1940s and 1950s, computers were largely isolated machines. They operated independently without any direct connections to other computers. Each computer worked as a solitary unit, processing data and running programs on its own. However, by 1960s, a significant shift began to take place with the emergence of computer network. This innovation allowed computers to communicate and share information with each other, laying the groundwork for what would eventually become the internet. A major milestone came in 1969 with the birth of the internet. Initially, it was a network of just four interconnected computers. This small experimental network was the beginning of what would grow into the vast interconnected system we have today. Fast forward today, the internet has become the largest global computer network, connecting billions of devices around the world. It is now fundamental part of our daily life, supporting communication, information sharing, commerce, entertainment, and much more. In its early days, the internet was quite different from what we experience now. Features were very basic, plain text, documents were in norm with no images, complex formatting, or interactive elements. The focus was purely on text based communication. FTP or file transfer protocol was one of the first methods used to transfer files over the internet. It allowed users to connect to server, browse through available documents, and download files of interest. You can see an example of a public FTP site used by NASA in the image on this slide. These early features laid the foundation for the development of more advanced web. In the early days of the internet, web pages were extremely basic. They consisted only of plain text documents with no images, formatting, or interactive elements. To share files, people used FTP or file transfer protocol, which required users to type commands to log in, browse, or download files. It worked, but it was far from the simple click based experience we have today. The web as we know it today was created in the early 90s by Tim Berners-Lee at CERN. It was a revolutionary step that made accessing and sharing information on the internet much faster, easier, and far more user friendly. Three key components made this possible. First, HTML or hypertext markup language allowed text files to contain links to other files, becoming the backbone of the web pages. Second, web browsers let users view HTML files visually rather than dealing with raw text, making interaction simple and intuitive. Third, HTTP or Hypertext Transfer Protocol defined the rules for transferring HTML files between computers, ensuring proper formatting and communication. Earlier, systems like FTP required typing commands in to log in, download files, which worked but wasn't user friendly. With HTTP and hyperlinks, user could simply click on links to open pages instantly, with each page connecting to many others, forming a true web information. The result was shift from complex commands to simple click-based navigation, enabling the modern browsing experience we rely on today and opening up countless new possibilities for sharing and consuming information globally. HTML or hypertext markup language is the standard language used to create web pages. It provides the basic structure and content for every web page we see. The term hypertext simply means text that contains link to other text or content, which can include images, videos, or even other web pages, making the web truly interconnected and dynamic. HTML is called a markup language because it uses tags or markings to give extra meaning to the text, telling the browser how to display content. Some key features include link for navigation, formatting options for headings, paragraphs, and lists, and the ability to embed images or link to the external ones. Additionally, HTML allows metadata, extra information like search engine keywords, author details, or language specifications to be included in the page. Overall, HTML ensures web content is structured, navigable, and interactive, forming the foundation of the entire web experience. So, this is a screenshot of the very first website ever created by Tim Berners-Lee in 1991. As you can see, it was extremely simple, just plain text with some clickable hyperlinks leading to other pages. There were no images, no colors, no stylings, only text and links. But this simple page introduced the concept of interconnected documents, forming the basis of the modern World Wide Web we use today. The history matters because it helps us to see how linking and navigation on the web evolved and the building blocks that led to the Wide Web. It started in 1945 when Vannevar Bush, in his essay As We May Think, introduced the idea of the mimics, a theoretical machine of storing and linking documents through associative trials in 1965. Ted Nelson coined the term hypertext, envisioning non-linear writing where reader could jump between ideas, creating a web of interconnected information. Then in 1968, Doug Engelbart's famous Mother of All Demons showed hyperlinks in action using a mouse click with the NLS system. Making hypertext practical and interactive by 1987, Apple introduced HyperCard, a tool that allowed everyday users to create interactive hypertext applications with text, images, and links. Each of these milestones mimics hypertext, hyperlinks, and HyperCard, added layers of innovation, all leading to Tim Berners-Lee's creation of the World Wide Web in 1990s. Sorry. People often use the terms internet and web interchangeably, but they actually mean different things. The internet is a sorry. The internet is a global network that connects millions of computers. It acts as the infrastructure or backbone for digital communication using protocols or sets of rules that allow devices to send, receive, and understand data. It carries all kinds of information, including emails, files, music, videos, games, and messaging. The web or World Wide Web is just one service running on the internet. It's a massive collection of interlinked documents or web pages accessed through web browsers using hyperlinks. Think of websites, articles, or streaming platforms. So the key difference is this: the internet is like the roads connecting everything, while the web is like the car using those roads. The web is the part where we use most often, but it's only one part of the larger internet. Understanding this distinction helps clarify how our digital world is structured. A web browser is our gateway to the internet. It allows us to access, view, and interact with web content. Its main function include downloading HTML documents from servers. When we enter a web address, displaying the content by interpreting HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and enabling user interactions like clicking links, filing out forms, or playing videos. In the early days, browser companies competed fiercely by adding their own property features to attract users, but this led to a big problem: web page incompatibilities. A site might work perfectly on one browser but break on another, creating frustrations for developer or users alike. The first browser war from 1995 to 2002 saw Netscape's Navigator competing with Internet Explorer. Both focused on adding new features, but the lack of standard caused problems. Internet Explorer eventually won largely because it came bundled with Windows. The second browser war from 2004 to 2013 brought in Mozilla Firefox and Google Chrome. The competition shifted towards speed, security, and standard compliances. Chrome's speed, simplicity, and strong support for web standards made it dominant browser we know today. The browser wars drove innovation but also showed the need for standardization, which eventually led to the more consistent and accessible web experience we enjoy now. So, this is a brief history of the internet wars. In the early days of the web, browser incompatibilities often caused pages to look or behave differently depending on which browser we used. This led to frustration for both developers and users. At the same page could work perfectly in one browser but break in another. To solve this standardization, we introduced to ensure web pages displayed constantly across all browser. The World Wide Web Consortium played a key role in these early efforts, releasing HTML5 in 2014 to support multimedia, graphics, and interactivity without relying on external plugins, aiming for a uniform web experience. Later in 2019, the Web Hypertext Application Technology Working Group took over HTML standardization, introducing the HTML Living Standard, a continuously evolving version of HTML without fixed version numbers, allowing the standard to adapt as technologies changed. For a time, W3C and WhatWG published competing standard, um, causing confusion, but now WhatWG sets the HTML standard moving forward. Today, when people say HTML5, they generally mean the HTML Living Standard, which ensures a consistent, open, and interpretable web across all browsers and devices. In the early days of web, HTML controlled both structure and appearance of web page with no clear separation between content and presentation. For example, using the B tag to make text bold directly mixed formatting with the content, making the code harder to maintain or less flexible. As more devices like desktop, mobile phones, and printers appeared, consistency issues grew, and updating design meant repeatedly editing the same code, which was time consuming and difficult to adapt to new display formats and technologies. Modern web design solved this by introducing the concept of separation of concerns, dividing a web page into three distinct layers. HTML defines the structure and content, providing meaning through headings, paragraphs, and lists for both browsers and search engines. CSS handles visual styling, colors, fonts, layouts. So, one change can update the entire site's look across all devices. JavaScript adds the interactivity and dynamic behavior, enabling forms, animations, and real time content updates for richer user experience. This separation creates cleaner, more maintainable, and scalable websites, ensures consistency across devices, allows faster adoption to new technologies, and significantly improves both user experience and developer productivity. Thank you all.